October Permanent School Building Committee. And to open it, I think it's appropriate that the groundbreaking committee take some recognition. They did such a wonderful job.
Fantastic.
Beth, Barbara, Jean Gallagher, Ellen Walsh, Michelle Callahan, and Karen Santarelli. I think we owe them a good round of applause for what they did. And also, I'd like to introduce to the new people, we have a new town administrator with us tonight, temporary, 90 days.
90 days.
Ed O'Brien is filling in. So, you know all the committee members anyway.
Welcome.
And you're going to introduce your part?
Yes.
Good.
Well, things do with Flansburgh Architects.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
you're,
Well, I'm also going to introduce a couple of new people,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And this is Betsy Garcia, she's with us, an architect, and then Jay Williams, he's our head of construction administration.
Okay. Okay, Joe,
okay, sorry, yes.
we're on.
Okay, first order of business is approval of the June 17th meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
You want to see it?
Yeah, it's just being typed out.
Yes.
All those in favor?
I got a roadblock.
There were a few action items. Pete, do you have there was a few action items from the meeting. One, Kent and Vince were to provide photos of different railing heights in schools they've designed, and they've got that tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit later. To the committee was to provide to Kent and Mike Bolger any information on any other known memorial items. I said that we'll keep this as an action item for a few meetings. Did we provide any information to Kent and Mike? Let's say that, you know, a couple more meetings, because we kind of need to get it done so they can figure out how they're going to design those into the project. So let's put a little thinking around that, and I'll keep it on there for another meeting. Next, Kent and Vince and team were to provide further information on the front entry sign design, and we'll pick that up at our next meeting. As well as the exterior lights design, the cut sheets. So that'll all be at our next meeting. The last item is I was to contact this CPA consultant, Eric Kinscherf, to connect with the town treasurer on helping define the bonding program. They've done that. Eric will be at our next meeting on the 29th to provide us an update. So that's it for the approval of minutes. Next action item or agenda item is the approval of invoices and commitments in our agenda package. At the end is the invoice cover sheet, as well as the budget summary log for those invoices, and then all of the individual invoices themselves. I'll just read off of the budget, the invoice summary sheet. The first two were relating to the planning board permitting, in which the planning board recorder charges a fee for recording the notes for the planning board, and that's the applicant's responsibility. The second gatehouse media was the planning board advertisement, which again is a requirement to publicly advertise. The second gatehouse media is the public advertisement for the early site package bidding. Eric Kinscherf, CPA, ongoing services for CPA consultancy. Flansburgh Architects for progress construction documentation, Sims, Bain, and McKee for the ongoing OPM services, and Consigli Construction for ongoing pre-construction services. In the amount of voucher summary in the amount of $543,526.02.
Do you have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Did you see these?
And I'll pass there's several of them to sign, but you can keep that together.
She did it? Cool. What do you get them and then do them?
Next agenda item is the review of the overall construction document phase schedule. That's our standard schedule, looking like this, a couple pages in. We've seen it before. The only thing I would point out is now that we are in our 90% construction document phase, the 90% construction documents are planned to be submitted to MSBA on September 3rd. So we're really making our way through the construction documentation and the finalization of all the construction detailing. So September 3rd is our next big milestone. Next document in is our meeting schedule for the 90% construction documents phase. Same as we've always done with the listing of our meetings and a brief agenda topic. We've also included the trade pre-qualification working group, which we'll have an update on that a little bit later, for their meetings, as well as the working group meeting for interiors, which will be over at Flansburgh's office on the 21st. With that, I think we just want to spend just a minute on this document, which is bid package number 3. So we bid the early site package, bid package number 1, and we've executed amendment number 1 for that work. We're bidding right now bid package number 2. Sorry, Jim.
Sorry, yeah, it's just one over.
Bid package number 2, we're bidding that now, which that is the building foundation and structural steel package. We released those documents on June 18th. We're on track to bring the bid and GMP amendment to us on July 29th for package number 2, foundations and steel. We have a little bit of work to do. The design team and Consigli and us to validate the bids that are coming in. We'll have all-day meetings like we did before over at Phil's office in order to bring that to us. So then that sets up bid package number 3, which is this. So bid package number 3 is the masonry. Why is that a bid package, not just bid with the entire project in October? The masonry has a structural component to it. The community wing, or the auditorium, gymnasium, cafeteria, mechanical room, district offices, that part of the building is all bearing wall masonry. So that's part of the structure. So the structural steel will tie into that. So we're bidding that as an early package so we can release that mason, so he's building his structural walls by the time the steel arrives there. And that's the reason why it's pulled out from the main package. So bid package number 3 will be released on September 3rd. And we're expecting to come to us from the school building committee with a GMP amendment on September 30th. So that's our next one that we're coming to is our structural steel. imminently. And then the next one out is the bid package number 3. So I just wanna make sure we're kind of queuing up those dates as we're looking down the road. So next, action item or order of business is, the review of the 60% construction documents comments from MSBA. That's a letter that MSBA wrote to Tim, standard format, providing their review of the 60% construction drawings and submittal. Big picture, while it seems like there's a lot of comments when you kind of flip through the pages, a lot of them are just notes to, when you finish the drawings, make sure you've done this, or as you finish the drawings, make sure you've done that. Easily manageable, I think very easily managed to respond to. We do owe MSBA a response by July 27th, which we're well on track with. We've been working on this now for a week and some odd days, so. But I'll pass that to Vince and team to maybe kind of take us through the highlights and what you've seen.
Certainly. So, we have had these for over a week now. We're working through them piece by piece, and the majority of the comments are on the specifications. The drawing comments are relatively easy to pick up, and for the most part, the comments are items that we would naturally be incorporating in the course of developing a set of documents. So a few of the items were just requesting additional detail in particular areas, requesting clarification for specification items, and notes on graphics to be improved for readability. Also some dimensions for construction, which we typically wait until things have settled into their places to add. And overall, they are very good comments. They're incredibly helpful to us, and as Joel said, they're quite manageable.
Joel, just a question. Yeah. Well, we had to break it out in 2. This is the printing, because it's a different propay code.
Oh, sorry, okay.
And then.
Got it, so that's this total.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, sorry. Any questions on the MSBA comments? Next action item is the review of the meeting actions log. We're still meeting with school administration, school facilities folks. So within our package, there's several meeting minutes from meetings that occurred since our last meeting, or the meeting minutes have been published since our last meeting. And then our standard design actions log. And I was thinking, a couple of meetings ago, we spent a few minutes or so just scanning down the log. I think it might be prudent for us if we, every couple of meetings, just scan the log. A lot happens at the meetings, and a lot of follow-up happens through either the working group meetings or directly with the school administration. And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same footing as it relates to what's the information. So we reviewed last time, it's a voluminous document, 18 pages, so, but I think the last time we met, we added on page 17, the May 19th technology meeting and the May 20th logistics meeting. There were probably a few responses that were filled in the prior meetings as well, but those were the 2 that I think we added since our last meeting. So just scan it. Let's just take a minute, and if, just mention the page that you're on if you have any questions, and the particular item, and then, we've got the team to provide, any insight if needed. The goal is to have, when we're finished at 100% CDs, that
Yes.
all of the responses are done. And so it's an ongoing process, and I know that you guys are working hard at keeping it up and getting responses through whatever the various parties that need to be dealt with. Need another minute or so?
Do we have a date yet when the gas company will be down
For
for the gas line?
the gas line?
I gotta check with John. John was working with them on that, so we'll verify that and give you an update at tomorrow's meeting.
And then I'll send that out to the committee from the construction meeting tomorrow morning.
Just 'cause I know we're waiting on them to take care of the gas line so you can do the construction road.
Okay. Okay. Part of the loose handout is Flansburgh's individual design meetings that are coming up. So that's just part of the overall agenda package. And so given that, do you want to go over the railings and the site drawing?
So this is follow-up on a question about guardrail height. And this illustrates the three conditions that Flansburgh has designed in the past 20-odd years. The vast majority of our projects are 3'6", illustrated on the left. We have only 2 deviations from that dimension, and they are at Academy of the Pacific Rim Charter School in Boston and Lawrence High School, 4 feet and 5 feet respectively.
And those are the heights you're going, standard would be 3.6,
Yes.
5.6?
Sorry, for
For
a
your
typical
height
child.
that you're
or for-
going on.
Yes, sir.
The current design has the guardrails
At 3.6?
at 3'6". That's
Yeah.
code,
Yeah.
that's the required code for guardrails. And just as for background, this is as related to follow-up items when we walk through West Bridgewater along the cafeteria overlook. Some of the committee members asked, the height of the railing, should it be higher,
Right.
et cetera. And so as a follow-up, this is a graphic to show what does it mean to have something different than 3 foot
Right.
6.
So the picture on the left would be someone standing at that railing in West Bridgewater, and then, of course, the child would be below that, and someone, an adult or a teenager, would be above that, but it would be at, roughly waist height. When you raise it to 4 feet, it's above a child's head, and up here for an adult, and then 5 feet is basically at eye level. Definitely for children, but also for adults. And it feels a bit cagey.
I think the 5 feet, you're restricting vision, but it gets more, in a lack of terms,
Closed in.
yeah, jailish.
Yeah. Closed in.
In your experience at 3 foot 6, I don't know where the conversation came up. Did somebody just, over at West Bridgewater, just kind of think?
No, as
as
the members
collectively.
of the committee were walking through,
Yeah.
it's an overlook, and I'm gonna say it didn't have the top rail in
Right.
yet.
Okay.
So you had to visualize this.
Mhm.
But it was enough of a conversation that we wanted to make sure we brought it to the committee and had follow-up.
Absolutely.
I think what our concern was, given that the railing was about waist high, the concern about high school students playing games and people flipping over the railing, cause,
Yeah.
students, kids will be kids. And I think I think all of us that were on the tour had various degrees of concern.
This is really just in the center part, the public space.
Yes,
We're talking about like second floor.
Exactly.
Gymnasium looking over at the cafeteria.
yes.
It looks like all these instances are all on the second floor anyway. So they've been used, all 3 have been used, to mitigate kind of where we're at.
I'd kind of be happier with the 4 foot railing rather than a 3 foot 6.
Yeah, I would too. I had concerns about the 3 foot 6 because it's high school students, they're taller. I had concerns.
Well, later part of high school years, a lot of people are way over 5'6", so.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say that 4 foot would be a reasonable,
Yeah, the 5
more of a safety.
Oh, yeah.
I would agree.
Right, yeah, 5 foot, you do have a visibility issue.
I
like the Right.
4.
Yeah.
Is that consensus of the committee?
Yeah,
4 foot?
4 foot.
Okay. All right, guys, can you modify, design, as you're finishing up the design now, make sure it's 4 feet? Okay.
That's to the very top of the rail.
And then your second handout?
Yes, so this is a graphic to be distributed to parents and students before the beginning of next year, so that they will have an idea of what to expect, where they can and cannot drive, where they can and cannot park. This has been distributed to Patty, and she said it's exactly what she needs.
And just background, this is from the logistics working group meetings, maybe a meeting or so ago. And, we're always trying to look forward. And so part of that discussion was, how is the school department going to inform the parents that on school opening day, the traffic pattern is very different than it was when school finished. And so we talked about various methods of the automatic notification, the distribution of a handout, the other email possibilities, and Flansburgh said, well, we'll create a graphic, however you want to distribute the information, but we'll create the graphic to help create that story for, informing the parents for opening day. So, you've sent this to Patty, and she's very comfortable with it. Let's talk about it here, even though it was a logistics working group meeting, I think it's a representation of the committee. Are we comfortable with, that it's clear, that it's understandable, that, you know, is there any modification or refinement we wanna make to either language or graphics or this type of thing, to make sure that, as a cold red document by a parent, it's, there's no questions.
No, it pretty much lays out the, you know, the entrance now and the exit.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
I mean, it hasn't changed, that hasn't changed in the scope of the work yet. So-
I have a question on the parking, because that is different. So the parking will be out in the front. The exit, the entrance and exit into the parking area will be at the top, right? Not on the street end, on the other end,
No, at the top.
right?
Well, no, that top is a
Well,
funny
it's-
word, so
it's-
let's make sure we're all looking at
As
the
you
the top.
come up
drawings.
the driveway,
Up the school.
So where it says student and faculty parking,
yeah,
to the right
To the
of
right,
that,
yeah.
there's a arrow that's pointing to the top of the page, a red arrow.
yeah.
Is that the in and out for the parking lot?
Will
John,
be-
is that, well,
Yes.
let's
Yes,
just
sir.
make sure. So that might wanna be an arrow that shows the in and the out
Okay.
for that parking lot there.
Right, 'cause I assume one
Right.
will be the entrance,
Is that
one
where
will
you're
be
going?
the
Yes, that's my
exit.
point,
Okay.
yeah.
And perhaps arrows on the
Asphalt?
driving, on the thank you, on the asphalt itself.
Correct.
Um,
Spray painted on there.
Yes, realizing that people will totally ignore it, because that's what happens in UMass, but, at least,
Yeah, the only other
There's an
thing you can do is
intent.
put a sign as you're coming out, you know.
I think you should have the signs, because once
Yeah.
it's, once
As
it's
you
a
turn.
traffic jam, nobody's gonna see the arrows.
Yeah.
right.
Okay,
No,
so,
but,
so let's, there's two conversations here. One is, that we should do tomorrow morning, actions that we should do tomorrow morning at the construction meeting, which is verify what's in the contract documents as it relates to striping on the road and the parking lot and signage. And we'll verify if we have the appropriate signage that will be clear in delineating, that it could be enforceable by the principal, et cetera, at the school, because that first 2 weeks is gonna be someone standing out there. We have to have people standing out there. The second one is this graphic piece of paper. So let's say there's two different types of conversation. One is what we're building in the built environment, and that's make sure signs and striping is appropriate. And then for the graphic, this is just so far, the graphic is that we're delineating the in and the out for the parking lot. And Barbara, you started to say something when we were talking about the in and the out on the arrows?
I was thinking that on the exit of the lot, have a do not enter sign
You
on the
mean-
entrance to that exit.
You mean no right turn?
Yeah. I see, I know exactly what she means, is you make that turn up near the drop-off to come back around and not come in the out.
So they can only take a left turn when they're exiting out of the parking lot.
But I don't want people who are trying to enter
Come
the
around
lot
and go in.
to go in the exit, so thinking having a do not enter sign at the exit, so people don't go
Right.
in that way.
Because you'll
And
come
that
around
would
and
be
And I
then-
a,
realize that's redundant with everything else, but I'm just,
Someone's gonna wanna go around the school and then come back in that exit.
In park.
We have a do not enter sign in the drawings right now, and we have line
Alright.
striping.
oh, you guys
Okay,
are
fine.
awesome.
Okay, good.
But the preference is that the parking lot should be one way, that you
Yes.
wouldn't want
Yeah.
two-way? Okay,
Right.
Right.
One way.
okay.
I think that's just asking for trouble.
Is there a barrier between the exit and the construction entrance? At all, do we know?
There's Jersey
Jersey
barriers
barriers and then
in
fence.
the road with a fence on top of
So
it.
there'll be a delineated exit and a delineated construction entrance?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
So, And so my other question is, where it says drop off, and which is typically where they're dropped off now, that's no different. But there are parking spaces there that the office staff uses. Is that going to be, you know, the same, or is everybody parking in the parking lot?
No, it looks like that's still
There's
there in
some
the
designated
drawings.
spaces
Shows
there.
it's along the handicap
Yeah.
parking.
There's a reduced amount in the island itself,
Yeah,
but there's an added amount next to the gym, further on down.
okay,
That's what we're building right now.
okay.
And that's meant to be for staff.
So, and this isn't a question about the drawing per se, but how many parking spaces is this little lot hold?
Count 'em.
16
8, 9.
non-handicapped. 16 non-handicapped. You're talking about along the curve?
No, even in the main lot, how many spaces?
Oh, in the main lot.
How many will we have?
Oh,
118? About 118, I think.
118. Do we know what we had before? Barbara, you don't have it?
I don't, but I know on a good day, the lot is maybe 2/3 full.
I just wanna make sure that we know the numbers on this, because we don't have buses, all the kids drive to school, so we wanna make sure we have enough parking for the staff and the students.
right, right.
So I'm just,
And I know Kent had verified that at one point.
Yeah, they
from
looked at
the-
that capacity and
Yeah.
verified that we can maintain it with this temp lot, so I think we're good.
And this little lot, up at the top, will that say staff parking only, or
Well,
something like that?
let's,
We can make it.
let's check.
I'll write it down, so something like this.
Anyone parks there that's not supposed to, please crush car. That works. Put it in the construction zone, let it bulldozer right over it. First one that happens, and the next one's not doing it.
Say, whose car is this? Go tell the kid to move. Okay, and he won't do it again.
Because you got this bulldozer parked on it.
No, it's higher cop.
In terms of the circulation in the parking lot, you want it clockwise or counterclockwise, because advantages to each.
When does he need signs?
Counterclockwise, you can loop back around and get back in without having to go onto the street. Clockwise, you avoid the cars crossing each other at the far right-hand end.
When you're in, you're in.
Clockwise,
Yeah, I think you wanna go in first.
Go right in, right away.
Yeah.
Right, so if you come through and you can't find a spot, you're gonna have to go all the way out into the street and come back around. Okay.
You didn't find a
Well,
spot
if
the
you
first
can't
time.
find a
You didn't
spot,
find a
odds are
spot.
you
Yeah,
can't
you
park
probably
it.
don't have one.
If you don't find a spot, then don't come back in.
That's 7-Eleven, nobody just.
Yeah.
We should emphasize the
If you didn't find a
crosswalk,
spot, there's no spot.
because we don't
Bye.
we want people coming out of their cars and using the crosswalk, we want them to go to the right, because the traffic will be coming both ways.
Mm.
So it'd be emphasize that crosswalk.
Yeah, so you have to go in there and come out.
Yes.
Oh, you wanna have to go into the parking lot?
Yeah, that'll stop
So
this.
what I'm saying, when
That'll
they're
stop
walking,
that right
once they
there.
park their car, they have to walk out.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want
Yeah.
them cutting across this way, because they don't.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
No choice.
Just to go to the walkway. They still have to cross traffic, but
Right.
at least it's not too big of a lane, so to speak.
Okay, is there any other comments? Nice, excellent. So let's get that wrapped up and send it back out. And then,
Just one more question. Will this inspection
They built this one up.
finish, so that, is there any period of time between this finishing and school starting?
So we're tied to August 12th, and that's what
August
we're
12th, okay.
tracking right now, so.
Just so we can
Yep.
look at it one more time, maybe if we need to.
okay, so as soon as you get it, I'll send it out there.
Just strike them and see.
Yeah. Very good. Phil, you wanna, give us a construction update?
Yeah, this is 9 pages here, but just to keep it high level, if you wanna go to page 3 of 9. This pertains to the early site package that we're working on right now. So obviously, the key date is the August 12th turnover. Right now, as you can see, we're out there, we're excavating for the detention system, working on the drainage lines, sewer lines. So things are moving ahead. We're gonna be right up against it into August as we get into the paving and striping, so keep moving ahead there. And in addition to that, Lorenzo is obviously working on the construction access road, where we have the water main and gas main tie-ins, and then also clearing trees all through the back, clearing and grubbing the site, and starting to grade over where our trailers are gonna be set. So we're gonna move out of that little shed next to the school and kind of move into the trailers August 13th, I think. The 7th through the 13th, we're gonna set up the trailers. So it's kind of a high level schedule update.
Everything on track?
On track?
Any questions? Next agenda item is review of change order procedures.
Joel, can we just go back one little quick thing back?
Sure.
Just a quick clarification, on these guardrails, we have basically two different buildings, and I know the concern is at the high school side where the kids are big, and that's 4 feet, so we'll make that 4 feet. So the question is on the elementary side, there's also some second floor handrails that, would we want to maintain that at that higher
That
level on
3.
the 4 feet side, or do we want to pretty much meet the minimum at 3'6" for code for the elementary side of the school, where the children aren't quite as tall?
Where are those railings on the elementary side? I'm trying to visualize that.
They overlook the cafeteria as you walk along to access the gym.
Yeah.
No, in the,
In
On the elementary side,
school.
on the,
Okay.
there's a section going towards the gym that overlooks the cafeteria. Cafeteria's double height space.
Will it look odd, putting a 3'6" and a 4 foot
You
rail?
really never have,
They're not gonna,
you never
Then you're
have
not
the
gonna
view
see,
of
you say
both.
it's not a
No.
visual.
yeah.
there's a
No.
wall that separates the two
Alright.
schools, so you're basically separated completely.
Yeah.
So the question is, I mean, before we
Yeah.
no,
end that
good, it's
discussion,
very
we
good,
wanna
let's
make
be
sure.
very clear. Good.
I would think to keep it all
Keep it the
consistent,
same.
I would too.
stay with the 4 foot,
I would agree.
I'm in
especially in
agreement.
the bidding and installation
Yeah.
and all. If it's all the same, it's the
Right.
same.
Okay,
No
that's fine.
mix-ups.
Someone's not gonna put a 3 foot section.
Good question, good, thank
This
you.
is a
I
balcony
don't know, this is what they gave me.
upstairs. This is only a balcony.
Pretty big kid.
Yeah.
They overlook it.
Because there's a stairway at the top level, the stairway looking down to the second, scissor part, there would be another guardrail at that height as well.
I would say wherever you have guardrails,
It would be consistent 4 feet
Yeah.
everywhere. So
Is that the
there's no
guardrail?
difference regardless.
So the guardrail in West Bridgewater is what we're gonna, is what you're proposing to put in? That
Yes,
style,
for
that
that
What we
cage
have
style?
now.
For-
the
Only at
mesh.
fire stairs.
Okay.
At the corridors, there's a bar stock railing.
Okay.
thanks, good.
Thank you.
Change order procedures. Normal process for us, is we will bring, there will be change orders on the project. There will be change orders on the project that are changes to the GMP, that's been bid and executed. It's the nature of construction, the drawings are two-dimensional representations of three-dimensional reality, and sometimes there's issues as it relates to the drawings, or unforeseen conditions as it relates to the site, et cetera. So there will be change orders. And so that process typically will be, the issue is identified, it's validated by the design team that it is an issue. Design team will issue direction on pricing, or for whatever that is. Consigli's team will then price that. It'll be submitted. Vince's team will review that pricing. My team will review the pricing. We'll reach a fair and equitable price for whatever that work is. We'll then place those items on a official change order and bring that to us as a committee. We'll review it as a committee, we'll vote on the change order, and it'll be incorporated into the contract. That's the sort of the big picture typical process. And we're gonna get at a point where our meetings, our PSBC meetings will be once a month. Because the design, you can see the design meetings are getting, minimus. Our issues as it relates to design are becoming minimus. And once we start to just simply focus on construction, it'll be the third Wednesday of the month, and that'll be it. So things may happen in between that third Wednesday of the month that might need to have a change order executed, because it can't wait. It's things that might come up that we'll want to give direction to the contractor, so we're not delaying the work. Don't know what those are, but there is the possibility and potentially probability that things will come up over the next 2 years that will be like that. What we've done in the past is there's been a small group of the committee that's been authorized to approve up to a certain amount of money in between those committee meetings for such changes that are of having that sense of urgency to get approved. That dollar value is usually somewhere around $20,000 to $30,000 thereabouts. And that's usually the type of condition that warrants, or the type of work change that warrants that immediate need. If it's something much, much bigger,
Yeah.
it's certainly not gonna be that sense of urgency, because it's going to have been out there for a while, if it's a lot bigger than that. So, sorry for the long story, but what we'd like to talk about with the committee tonight is that acceptable as a process? If it is acceptable as a process, it might be that some of the members that could be the ones that would have such authorization could be the construction working group members that are already attending the construction meetings at every Thursday morning, that are up front and knowledgeable. That's one possibility. I don't wanna say what it should be. I want us to feel comfortable with who the members are and what the dollar value is. I just know that we need to set that up, so that we have a direction to move in. We did have an instance 2 weeks ago where we did need to get a document signed, and I'll take the responsibility for making that happen. We have in the GMP amendment builder's risk insurance. And that builder's risk insurance, which Consigli is providing for the built environment, is property insurance on the work that they're building, essentially. And the way the state standard contract read was that they were to provide the builder's risk insurance for the full $80 million for the entire length of construction. It didn't contemplate a phased construction project such as ours. We've come across this before, so we reached out to Consigli to say, well, what does that mean? We reached out this came up at the logistics working group about a month ago. So we reached out to Jim Crowley, the town's insurance agent, who then reached out to the underwriter, and we sent them the contract. Phil wrote a letter defining what a phased builder's risk insurance is versus a full value builder's risk insurance. The full value was like $150,000.
150 something, yeah.
The phase was $104,000. What was carried in their GMP was $125. Way back when we retained them. So now it was time to get to the final number so we can start construction, because we need the risk insurance, builder's risk insurance in place. So we worked with Jim Crowley. Jim Crowley worked with the underwriter. They provided in writing that the phased approach was acceptable to them, that the town would purchase, as they normally would, the property insurance on the new building when you occupy it, because it's now your building. And so Consigli provided a credit of $19,000 something dollars.
Yes.
And we needed to sign a document agreeing to that, a change order, so that would allow them to buy the insurance and start construction, which was like July 1st or thereabouts. So all that happened in between our meetings. I'll say I took the responsibility to make it happen. Dan, oh, no,
That was me.
you were away,
Yeah.
sorry. Jim and
Barbara,
Barbara
myself.
And Fred.
Yeah.
and Fred signed the change orders, this is change order number 1, for that credit value of $19,000, so we could get these guys going on the site. So it's not that type of thing, but it's, because we're past the insurance part of it now. It would be like a construction item
Right.
that we would need to execute to not delay in between our normally scheduled construction our building committee meetings. So, does that sound like the right process to follow?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree.
We need to have someone that's local that can deal with any type of a change, so that there's no delay in the construction. Instead of coming to a meeting every 2 weeks, you just can't stop the job and wait for that.
Just on that, Joel, the criteria for that change order would be identified by what, I'm trying to say this, what really needs to be a dollar value of that change order for the period of time before our next meeting? You know what I'm saying? So that we're not signing a change order for money that could wait until after our next full meeting. So the criteria, when you're looking at, there's a change order needed, and it's $30,000. Is there $30,000 that's really needed between that date and our next full board meeting, or is it really only $15,000?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Just
no,
the criteria
yeah.
for what is
The-
really
the-
needed.
We would want to think in terms of the change itself.
Okay.
And there's a cost for that change.
Yeah.
And then there's the start date for that change.
Right.
That period of time to implement the change may be more than, may overlap our next building committee meeting, but it's the start date for that value of that change, which would dictate, should it be signed in advance of our building committee meeting, for the full value.
Right, yeah.
So if it's,
Okay.
and we'd only do it if those, first of all, we meet every week, and there's a log that's presented every single week of whatever changes.
Right.
So we're always cognizant of what and the question will always be, is this urgent? Are you really needing to do this? In between, et cetera. So we'll always ask those questions. But the change that happens, so Vince would issue a document, Phil would price it, we would justify the price. That takes, a little bit of time, a couple weeks maybe, and then we agree upon the price, but then lo and behold, 3 days later is really when they need to start the work, but our meeting's on until 3 weeks from now. It would be that type of change, and, for a value of less than, say, $30,000.
So pretty much like the builder's insurance.
Yes.
Pretty similar to what
Yes.
the same, you sent it out, so we proofed it.
Yep.
Right.
And then came to the construction meeting and then signed it.
Yes.
So typically.
So you're setting, you want to set that value.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I guess the question that you're asking for those that may be asked to sign a document, will they have the ability to look at it prior?
We will have that.
You will have the ability to look at it
Basically,
prior.
from the day you realize you have to have a
Yes.
change order, we're gonna start to know about it.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
So now, really, you're looking at setting a value on that line item.
And who?
I would definitely say, you know, from the committee standpoint, the construction committee, if it's okay with the committee itself.
But obviously, you know,
Thursdays is when that
Yeah,
would be.
Thursdays
the
it
best
happens,
time to be
so.
Talking about all of that.
Yes, yeah.
Now it's just setting a dollar amount on the change order value.
Is there anybody else would like to be available for that?
I will, yeah.
Scott? Matt? Yeah. It'll be gone by then.
Everything goes right.
Robert, would you be interested? It takes a little time,
Yeah,
weekly
like,
time.
yeah, I can't go to weekly meetings, I'll never get
Yeah.
a
If
practice
There's
space at
5
work.
of us, if there's 5 of us on this, what are we saying, 3 of us have to?
Majority.
The majority of the
3 have to be
yeah.
there to
Gina,
sign.
would you be interested?
I can't do Wednesday morning.
Well, there's 5 of us.
Yeah, so you have five,
So we
you have five
five.
people
So
that we
five.
already approved
As
to,
long as we all know
be on the
who's
committee.
going.
be on that committee.
Yeah.
And they know what's going on all the time, that committee, so I would say they should be the ones that,
Okay.
Right.
since they're up to date with everything as it goes along, you folks should be able to then make that decision for us.
Okay.
Okay.
So now, where do we set the value?
Do we set a hard value or?
I think you should set a high
Just so
value.
that, you know,
Okay.
Yeah.
8 months from now, we'll,
Yeah.
if it comes up, we'll know what we agreed to.
Okay. And you're typically saying 30,000.
That's the usual number, most jobs.
That's pretty common.
Yeah. Does that sound like the right number?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
that's, you guys, we know that better than us.
So this a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Accept citizens.
Sign change order.
The
Change
permanent,
order.
permanent school building committee authorizes the construction working group subcommittee plus Scott and Barbara to approve changes in the interim prior, in between permanent school building committee meetings up to $30,000. And that was,
Second?
All approved, Annette?
okay.
Go.
Yep.
Done.
You can, I mean, I can always stop by like at 7 in the morning.
And
That's not
I'll
a
do
problem.
exactly what we did
Yeah.
before. There'll be a prior email notice.
Yeah, because we had done the
Lots of
signing
cover-
early morning
Yeah.
prior to the
Yeah.
meeting anyways.
Okay, that's perfect. Excellent.
But basically the dialogue would go on during the 8 o'clock meeting, correct?
Yeah, because
So
there's
it
a.
wouldn't be
Yeah.
an earlier meeting.
But there's enough weekly dialogue on the list of changes, that we'll have a continuous knowledge of what they are.
How come it went like this?
Yeah, I was like, oh, wait a second.
You guys
Hold
are
on.
really writing good ones.
You were quick, that was good.
And this is also for credits too, correct?
Yeah, any, a change is a change. Yeah. Okay. Committee questions?
Still have a meeting tomorrow morning, correct?
Yes.
In the trailer.
Yeah.
I have a question on the construction now. What time is it starting in the morning?
7.
7? I know, I just know that the middle of the town was tied up pretty good at 7 this morning. Only one lane was open. That's, ouch.
Then
It was,
that
it
way
was,
every day this
Yeah.
week.
but I mean,
But if we get this part of it done,
No.
you know,
We
during the summer.
it just seemed early this morning. I drive by, I go there every morning, I go by, and I had no issue until this morning was the first time that there was only one lane open.
I think we're fortunate that it's
So-
July.
I was just
Yeah.
curious, that's all.
Yeah, we have blackout periods
No.
once the school opens back up,
You know?
people can't make deliveries and stuff.
This was only the first morning that there was a backup. The other mornings, we've had 2 lanes, and it's slow, but
Yeah.
you expect it, but this morning, there was just the 1 lane open.
Once you finish the street work,
That's it, we're done.
Yeah.
just disappears.
That early in the morning.
Yeah.
I know that it's down to 1 lane in the middle.
What's that, another week maybe?
Yeah.
Day, but-
And then the street will be just the way it was before.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you're saying gas main the week of the 21st, so.
Yeah,
it's
I think
basically after
basically
that's
next week.
finished.
Yep.
Okay.
Good. Public comments?
Come on.
Something, anything?
I just need an agenda if anyone can
Certainly.
provide that.
Okay, our next meeting is the 29th.
July 29th. Am I gonna be around? I don't know. I don't know what I do.
Yeah, we have one for that.
Anybody go? Never mind, but I only wrote all of it. Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I made a motion, want a second?
Second?
Right, okay.